Welcome back to We Are Breathers. Um, I'm Nick, and today, whenever you're watching this, I wanted to talk about a quote that I came across maybe a month ago, and the quote was from Matthew McConaughey, and it was, "If you get corrected and you get offended, you have an ego." And when I read that, it made me feel uncomfortable. And I think why it made me feel uncomfortable was, as the quote said, I had an ego. And I would revert back to or remember situations where I had um, I had been in those situations and I did get corrected and I would argue about it and then entail what the quote is meaning, or implying I have an ego. And I was thinking, yeah, I do, you know. So I've actually just finished talking about this quote topic or whatever with a couple of friends, and I thought, why not get on here and put it out there, because I think it's beneficial for pretty much everyone to understand and apply that quote to situations that happen with you. Ever since I have seen that quote, I have put myself in certain situations to not have an ego, and say if I've done something wrong, and someone has corrected me, I'm not out here trying to be like, oh, what? Well, I did it because of this. You know what I mean? Trying to prove that this has only happened because of these series of events. It doesn't matter why it's happened. What matters is that it has, and to move on and learn from that situation, you need to swallow your pride and say, okay, yep, I have made a mistake. How do I move forward from now and be able to not do the same events to get the outcome that we have just here? Because I think in the past for me, and this is all speaking on my experience, so in the past for me, I have been stubborn, and it has stopped me from, one, learning how to deal with that situation, or how to be able to not put myself in that situation again, purely because I was being too stubborn, or just not caring that I was wrong, caring about the fact that, okay, I understand that I'm wrong, but we're in an argument now, and I'm not going to back down. So I think there's two things to take away from that. One, let's go for the main one, which I think will hit everyone. Not wanting to be wrong or incorrect or the bigger person. I've happened a handful of times where I've just haven't backed down because I don't want to back down, because pride. I think pride gets in the way with every time that someone is questioning you, and once you are able to swallow your pride, it pretty much puts you in a good space to be, because now if I'm wrong, in a certain situation, I'm not trying to prove why that happened. I'm out here trying to be like, okay, teach me how I can move on from the situation. So that's one take. So pride. I think pride is a massive one. The second takeaway from this is the ability to want to be able to learn after the fact of swallowing your pride. So once the wall that you put up, your pride, once that comes down, then the learning process begins in terms of, why did I put up that wall? How can I be better? I'll give an example. I was with a group of friends, and there was a poster about global warming, and one of my mates asked what were our thoughts about the poster, and I said that I felt I was uneducated, so I couldn't have an opinion on the matter. And then I was questioned. I was questioned how I am uneducated in the time that we live in now, where everything is so accessible. How am I still uneducated? And that situation could have gone two ways, multiple ways. One, it could have turned into me getting defensive, and then the person, butting heads, and then making its way from a conversation to an argument. But the route that I wanted to take, after knowing the quote that I said, I said, no, you're right. My response was to that. I just haven't given myself time to be able to educate myself. Where do I start? I've swallowed my pride. I was wrong. In this day and age, obviously not just about global warming, but just about, anything in general. If someone is more educated than you about a certain subject, I think you should be all ears. Because if you're not, then you are pretty much putting yourself at a disadvantage to gain knowledge from someone that has got more knowledge at that certain subject or category or whatever, because your pride's got in the way and you don't want to accept that you were wrong, or you don't know everything. And in that case, I didn't know everything. I asked, where do I begin? And her response was the Leonardo DiCaprio movie, Before the Flood. So the next weekend I watched that, and I took a step in terms of gaining more knowledge to be able to have an opinion on what started the conversation, and that, I think that has been a massive eye opener in terms of me actually swallowing my pride and getting a benefit out of it, gaining the knowledge of what was on that documentary, and now I can have opinion on it, and it sort of opened my eyes to wanting to gain more knowledge, because she was right in saying that, how are you uneducated on certain topics in our day and age? So that was one of my experiences, which was, I definitely feel like it was a good experience, because it's one thing hearing a quote and understanding that, that in itself is pretty good. It's another thing actually applying it and then seeing it come through for you. So I just wanted to talk about that, raise that, and trying to get people to apply that to their everyday lives. People make mistakes. I'll probably make a mistake tomorrow morning at work, afternoon at work, and all that type of stuff. But it's about understanding that we don't always have to be right, and then we don't always have to put up that wall, which is our pride, just because we want to be stubborn. And I think if we can get rid of that stubbornness and the lack of ability to be able to swallow our pride, then things will be, for me anyway, I've found things move a lot quicker. It's a lot easier in terms of dealing with people. If you're not wanting to, like I said, the conversation could have moved to an argument, and I don't want to be in an argument with anyone. You know what I mean? It doesn't add value to anyone's life. The quote that I'm talking about is from Matthew McConaughey, and it is, if someone corrects you and you get offended, you have an ego. Thank you for watching, and this was We Are Breathers.